Hi, this is Meredith Lego. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back if you are a repeat watcher of my content. For anybody who's new, my whole channel focuses on Ascension science, was really about the mechanics that go into the ascension of our consciousness, and it also does have an impact on the multiple four bodies that we have: our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our etheric body. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a new topic, which came through a channeling that I did with a collective consciousness, and it has to do with the Merkabah. So the Merkabah is actually the shape of two tetrahedrons, or a star tetrahedron together. And it is kind of the shape or formation of our light body in a lot of different ways, and how we can maneuver our light body. Now, this, it comes out actually quite strongly in this particular content. So the channeling starts with the free flowing of energy emanates from the core of source of all, with thundering energy free to manifest as well at will. So again, energy emanates from a core or a source, with thundering energy free to manifest as at will, which is, I think, really important, is that, the whole concept is consciousness really wants to have the experience of any sort of physical manifestation, and it will do that at will. So fundamental realities of your time and space are subject to earth dynamics, including the laws of gravity. This reality changes form with the angular rotation spin or shift, the angular rotation shift and spin rate of the quantum subparticles of matter and their anti-particle opposites. Form loses function to become non-matter or non-form. So let me pause right there. So if you kind of think about a subquantum particle, we'll just kind of make it a ball in my hand. What they're essentially saying is that there's a slight angular rotation of that particle. Not only is it like rotating this way, but the spin rate might be changing. Okay, so if it was going this way, now it might be going in the opposite way. And this is happening not just within the matter, but it's also happening in the anti-particle, antimatter opposite. So let's say you'll have a mirror effect, obviously. So while let's say electrons are kind of spinning around on the matter side, on the antimatter side they might be spinning around the opposite. And so when there's a shift, it creates it kind of shifts the spin rate on both sides. So the Merkabah and the plasma light body is the energy form holding the one consciousness. Or put another way, the consciousness manifests as a new form, as a non-form or anti-particle liquid-like plasma, and maneuvers through space-time vectors in a Merkabah field. So I think what they're saying, and I'm trying to interpret this, is that so you'll have matter, right? You'll have consciousness, and it'll be in matter. And then essentially what happens is that there's a slight shift. There's a slight shift in the angular rotation, and a shift in the spin rate of sort of the quantum particles. And then essentially the consciousness manifests in a new form that is non-form or anti-particle light, liquid light plasma. And through that maneuvers through time-space vectors in a Merkabah field. So a Merkabah field is essentially, as I mentioned, two tetrahedrons. And so a tetrahedron is basically going to be almost like a pyramid, and I don't really have one drawn out very well, but it's essentially a pyramid. I'm not drawing it out very well here quickly. But it's a pyramid that is like a three-dimensional star, a Star of David, if you will. But oh wait, that goes back to the shape of the Hieros Gamos shape, where you essentially have a union, if you will, between electrical and magnetic energies coming together in equal proportion. Okay. And so what they go on to say, so that's the Merkabah field, and you're able to generate about that around your body as it spins. Okay. So what they go on to say is that some see this Merkabah field as an orb. Okay, so they see it as like, a round orb. This is light in wave form. Your form, light, or orb can shape shift realities in time or in size. In size. So in other words, you're obviously transmuting consciousness into more of a liquid light, non-particle form that essentially is able to move through time and space in what's called a Merkabah field. And if people have the ability of seeing that, it's going to look like an orb, but it's actually a star tetrahedron that's spinning very, very fast. So it looks spherical in nature, but it's actually a star tetrahedron that's just rotating. And so this is the light in wave form, and your form light, or your orb, can shape shift realities and size. So consciousness can manifest a very tiny orb or a very massive orb. So it's through your thought alone that you can kind of expand or contract. And then they go on to say that this is why, as a child, during bilocation experiences, you felt like geometry being both big and small at once. Your consciousness contracted and expanded in a light body form. So pausing right there, when I was younger, like, 5, 6, 7, I think all the way up to probably about 9, and then periodically when I was older, like once every 10 years or something like that, I would have this sensation of feeling like I was literally geometry. It's the only way I can describe it. I felt like I was, sometimes I felt like I was a cube, but mostly a sphere. And I would feel like I was both big and small simultaneously. So I felt expansive, as big as the room. And also I felt like very, very tiny. So kind of like the idea of as above, so below. You're like feeling all of it at once. And it usually was happening when I was kind of groggy in and out of sleep. So that is the point when your consciousness is most, transmutable into those shifting states. And so that was, I guess you could say, my first experiences in bilocation. And now when I have bilocation experiences, I'm not feeling it as an orb per se or as geometry. I am just feeling my consciousness being very intentionally directed to go in different locations while my consciousnesses are also in my physical body and aware of that. So they basically said that even now you feel the speed of light travel when you travel to new space-time vectors in a bilocation consciousness state. You travel in instantaneous time faster than light. And this is true. So when I do have those sort of out-of-body bilocation experiences, your consciousness that is not really attached into your body, like fully present in the body, when it is sort of traveling, you essentially have the ability to, as soon as you think it, you are there. And I've had the sensation of feeling like I was moving very, very fast. So that's essentially what happened, what they're saying. And what it sounds like is that essentially that piece of consciousness is traveling in a Merkabah orb-like state, essentially. The mechanisms of this phenomenon are fundamental to consciousness growth and evolution. This is the new root race and the new human form. foundational principles of time are no time. So then I asked the question, why then does consciousness travel in an orb as opposed to a wave form? So, I was just kind of curious. You obviously see light, and light, can travel in frequency waveforms. So why is it that consciousness, chooses to show up in an orb, I guess? And it looks like an orb, but it's really a star tetrahedron, which is rotating very fast. And if you don't know what a star tetrahedron shape is, I encourage you to look it up. But it's essentially a three-dimensional version of the Star of David, if you will. So their answer is that light collapses into the center or the 0 point in a torus field that is or appears as an orb. So that was their particular answer. So again, I was asking, why does consciousness travel as an orb as opposed to a waveform? And again, light collapses into the center or the center point as a torus field that is or appears as an orb. So that's really all that we touched upon in this particular channeling, but it was pretty interesting because it obviously got into the mechanics of what's happening with consciousness and how you're kind of maneuvering consciousness essentially from a matter state into an antimatter state, and how that happens through what's going on with the subparticles inside of the the body or the consciousness unit, and how that essentially starts to transcribe into a Merkabah field. So I learned a lot through that. I hope you did. And with that, I will see you in future videos. And if you like it, give it a thumbs up. And if this content resonates with you, this is the kind of content that I tend to focus on. So if you're new to the channel, then I would encourage you to sign up for alerts so that you know when I'm posting future videos. Thanks much, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.